Well, hello guys and welcome back to my YouTube channel after literally so long. It's actually been 5 months since I last uploaded a video. I don't mean to like bore people, but it is just because generally life was getting quite crazy. I had a lot on and I just didn't really have a lot of spare time. So obviously I'm going to be having a lot more time now that we're all self-isolating in the UK and just making sure that we're all staying safe. So I will be hopefully uploading a couple more YouTube videos at least once a week, fingers crossed. That's kind of where I've been. No kind of major excuse, just basically been a busy gal. I have been actually self-isolating for quite a while. I went away to Amsterdam at the end of February and I didn't feel very well when I came back and my office just told me to stay home. And then obviously since then I've not been back to work yet. So I've been self-isolating for well over a month now. So I feel like I'm kind of like, I've got this down. So today I thought I would do a little bit of a how I've been doing my makeup while self-isolating. I definitely fell into the trap of just barely getting ready every day right at the beginning, and that was definitely a mistake because you just don't quite feel like you have your day prepped, if that makes sense. If you're not doing things that you would normally do when you're going out for work, you just kind of feel a bit weird. So I have been doing a version of a makeup routine. It's very simple, very basic, quite summer glowy. So I thought I would share that today. It's very simple, so hopefully shouldn't take too long. And I've also been doing fake freckles. I know people feel a little bit weird about fake freckles, but I just think they look so cute. When I am tanned, I do get freckles, but I am obviously trying to save my face from the sun. So I am going to be running through how I do that as well. So if you want to see my basic quarantine makeup routine, then please keep on watching. So I have just cleansed my skin. And I think now more than ever, now that we're spending so much time at home, I think it's time to be nice to our skin. So after I've cleansed my skin, I'm going to use a moisturiser. This is the Dr. Dennis Gross. This is really expensive, but I actually got this for my birthday. It's expensive, but it's really good. So if you can afford it, this stuff is like gold. And I'm just gonna rub that all over my face. Try not and drag my skin too much because I know that cringes people out. And then a little bit on my neck as well. Oh, I'm also going to put a little bit of eye cream on. I actually forgot to do that. This is just some random, I don't even know what this is. And then if you can, give your skin 5 minutes just to let that sink in. And then after that, I'm gonna take some sun cream. Especially now we're getting into the warmer months, the sun's out a lot longer. Hopefully, if you have a garden while you're self-isolating, you're gonna get a couple of hours sitting in the sunshine. So I would definitely recommend some sun cream. I try and wear sun cream all throughout the year if I can. The one I'm using at the moment is the La Roche-Posay. It's a 50+ sun cream and it's really good under makeup. I don't get any flashback and it just kind of sinks straight into my skin. I don't get that like oily top layer. Another sun cream that I absolutely love is by FAUX. That's my absolute favourite. It is really expensive, so I can't be buying it all the time, but I do absolutely love that one if you're looking for a couple. And I'm just gonna pat that into my skin. Boom. Okay, and then once that has dried in, I am going to take a little bit of primer. I'm not that fussed about primer at the moment, to be honest. So I'm literally just going to take a tiny little bit of Professional by Benefit and just put a tiny bit on my nose. I'm not really that bothered about putting it anywhere else. I think at this time, it's time to let your skin breathe rather than caking loads of makeup on. Okay, so here is the fun bit. This is the faux freckles step. Now I have been testing faux freckles for the longest time. I just love the look. I think it looks so cute. I wish I had freckles all the time, but unless I'm literally damaging my face with the sun, then I don't really get many freckles come through. So this is just kind of another way for me to kind of get that same kind of sun-kissed effect. The way that I have found that works the best is with fake tan. So I take any fake tan. This is Saint Moritz. This is just the one that I had lying about. It's the dark mousse, and I squidge a little bit into the lid like that. And I'm going to take an angled flat brush. This one is just like a cheap little Primark one that I have in my collection. You could take a little pencil brush, a little lip brush, they'll all work just the same. And then what I do is I literally poke the pointy end of the brush into the tan, and then you can also wipe it off around the sides if it's a bit too much, because this can look stupid very easily. So this might take a little bit of testing. And all I do is take the pointy edge and I start just dotting away on my face. And you don't need to be too precise, because let's be honest, freckles aren't really precise, they just kind of pop up anywhere. But I'm mainly going to focus them at the tops of my cheekbones around here, and then through down to the nose. If there's any that you think have come out a little bit strong, you can just take your finger and just pat into the skin, and then it will just fade them out a little bit. I found it does look a little bit fake if you focus too much on the nose, so if you put too many like right in the centre, it looks a little bit odd. And then I am going to put a couple on my forehead, because I do naturally get a couple of freckles up here. And if you think you've gone a little bit too strong, then you can just take a little sponge and just dab into your skin, and then that should blend them out a little bit. The thing with this as well, like, you can very easily wash this off if you think you've gone a bit too much. So I've got my fake freckles, if you can see them. They look a little bit strong right now, but this is obviously pre-makeup. So the most important part of this step is to actually let these sit for as long as you can. Even if it's just 10-20 minutes, then that's fine. Sometimes I literally do this as soon as I wake up, I wash my face and I put on the freckles, and then I'll go have breakfast, I'll go make a coffee, and then I'll put my makeup on after this, so the freckles can have a bit of a chance to actually like sink into your skin. So give yourself as long as you physically can. I'm gonna actually go make myself a little coffee, and then I will be back for the rest of the makeup. Okay, we're back. Got my iced coffee. It looks a little bit like pond water, kind of tastes like it too, but we move on. It's probably not been that long, maybe about 20 minutes. If I feel like after I've done all my skin makeup that I still don't have the kind of look that I want, like if all the freckles have faded, there is something else we can do to kind of add more on top. So I'm gonna just keep carrying on. Next thing is kind of, this is no different to what I normally do, to be honest. This is my NARS Sheer Glow. I absolutely love this foundation. It is just my favorite out of all my foundations that I've ever used. I'm currently using the shade Fiji. To be honest, it's still a little bit too dark for me. I am like so incredibly pale at the moment. So this does still come out a little bit too strong. So I am gonna go really light with this obviously, because we are working from home, self-quarantining. I'm not too fussed about laying on really heavy foundation, so we are going to go quite light. And the main difference with this is I am literally only using a sponge for the majority of my face, at least all the wet products. So I'm just going to take a little sponge and make sure you don't swipe the foundation, because that's what's going to make the freckles come off. So make sure you're definitely just dabbing the foundation into your skin rather than doing any kind of swipe motion. And I am really going light with this, like I'm not using a lot at all. I've actually run out of concealer, so I'm literally just using the foundation all over my face, because I can't be asked to buy a new one yet. As you can see, I've definitely still got the freckles there, but they have faded a little bit. To be honest, I would definitely leave them as long as you can. If you can leave them for like an hour, that's the ideal. So my next step is I'm going to take the Chanel Soleil Tan de Chanel. This stuff is absolutely incredible. This is definitely like a cult beauty classic. I got mine ages ago when I went traveling, so I've literally had this for years and years, and I've barely dented it, to be honest. And it's kind of in between a wet product and a dry product. I don't really know what it is, but it's just like magic. So I'm going to take a little brush by Real Techniques, and I'm just going to start to kind of pat this into the areas of my skin where I prefer to feel a little bit more bronze. So I'm going to go quite high on the cheekbone and then also cut into my cheekbone as well. I'm not being overly precise. A little bit around my nose, because I like that little like sun-kissed effect on my nose. And then I'm just going to cut my jaw a little bit. Nothing too dramatic. The whole thing that I love with this is it's very just like casual, slap it on, like no precision. Next step is my favourite step. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you would have known that I did a glossier video years ago. and I bought so many products from it. I wasn't quite sure on this one. So this is the Glossier Cloud Paint in Beam, and I have been loving this stuff. A little bit of this goes a really long way, so you want to be a little bit careful, but I just love the way this looks, especially if you're going for that kind of like really kind of blush sun-kissed look at the moment, which everyone is doing. I have been absolutely loving it. So all I do is just do a gentle little squeeze, because it does like to fly out. And then I just dab the product on the top of my cheekbones. Then I'm just gonna put a little bit across the ridge of my nose. And then you're gonna go back in with your sponge, and you're just gonna take the other side that you used to do your foundation, and you're just literally tap it in. Try not to move the product too much, because you want it to sit kind of on the tops of the cheeks. If you want to, I quite like to just take a little bit up into the end of my brow. But that is pretty much it. And then you just want to tap it along the bridge of your nose as well. There's so many brands as well now that are doing cream blushes, so you don't have to go for Glossier, because I know they are a little bit pricey, though I do think they're great and they blend out beautifully. But a lot of like high street brands are also doing cream blushes. So yeah, you can find these anywhere at the moment. Next up, I normally like to bake underneath my eyes, because I just find that my mascara does run quite easily, because I've got such oily skin. Mascara just tend to transfer. But actually at the moment I've been doing something slightly different. So I will be taking a pressed translucent powder from Laura Geller. I've literally only got a tiny bit of this left, so I just wanted to kind of use this up. And then I'm going to take a really small little powder brush and just literally swirl my brush into the edges and just pat it in under my eyes. And I've just found that this is a good way, one, to use up this little bit of makeup that I haven't been using, and two, the precision of the brush, I just feel like it gives it a much more, I don't know, like softer, seamless effect. To be honest, I mainly just did this because I want to just use this product up. And I'm trying to be a little bit more, I guess, resourceful when it comes to my makeup. There's so many products in my drawers that I just don't use. And it's all decent stuff. So if you find like you've got a little bit of spare time during your isolation, then have a little look through your makeup drawers, and if there's any products that you're not using, why aren't you using them? And if you feel like you're not going to use them, then declutter or actually use the makeup that you have. And then if you want to do this step, you can. You don't have to at all. It's just because I'm quite oily skinned that I feel like I need a little bit of an extra coverage in terms of powder. I'm going to take MAC Studio Fix Powder Foundation and literally just dab, and then just dab on anywhere that I didn't do translucent powder. Because I am loving the sun-kissed look, I am going to take a powder blusher as well and just put that on the tops of my cheeks, just over the top of the liquid Glossier blush. So on to the main, I guess, one of the main parts of this looks, because I'm not really doing much with my eyes, I do like to focus on my eyebrows. I am going to be taking this Revolution Soap Brow box. This is basically another version of the iconic version, but just a much cheaper. It's just basically a bar of soap. And it did come with a little brush, but I've actually got rid of that. So if you have just a bar of soap, which I do, then you can also use that. I just found that traveling around with a bar of soap was a lot harder, so I just find like this is a much more kind of manageable version. So I'm just going to take a little bit of setting spray. You could just literally take water, spray that into the top of the soap, and then I'm going to take my NYX micro brow pencil. I'm going to take the spoolie end here, and I'm just going to literally dig into the soap and then brush up my brows. It's quite easy to get carried away with this product, so just try and, if you've got any lumps of soap that you can see, just try and kind of like brush those out, or use your finger to just kind of smudge them out. I mainly focus right at the front, because that's where I quite like the fluffy brow effect. And then the rest of the brow, I don't really focus too much on, to be honest. So while those soap brows are settling in, I'm just going to take a setting spray all over the face. Whew. And then back to my brows, I'm going to take the pencil end and just fill in any gaps that you feel that you need it. I have fairly kind of bushy brows, so there isn't too much I do, just kind of any missing gaps I've got a little bit here that I tend to not see any brow growth, so I'm just going to fill that in. And then maybe just a little bit at the end as well. But try and go with your natural kind of brow as much as you can. Then because I've got one eyebrow that starts a lot further in than the other, I'm just gonna brush upwards so it looks as though I've got a bit more thickness in the front. And then the final step of the brows, I'm going very light with this because it's very easy for this to start getting a little bit clumpy now that you've got those two products already. I'm going to take the Glossier Boy Brow in brown. I absolutely love this product. It's one of my holy grails. I have been using this for years and I will not use another brow gel. I just think it's incredible. So I'm literally going to scrub off as much product as I can. And I'm just going to focus a tiny bit of the product right at the front of my brow, and you can see the difference between the two. It just makes it look a little bit thicker and a little bit fluffier. And then if you're bothered about eyes, I personally have barely been doing eye makeup pretty much the whole time I've been at home, but if I have been, this is what I've been doing. So I'm literally just going to take the bronzer, the powder bronzer that I've been using for my face, take a little eyeshadow brush and just dab into the bronzer, and I'm literally going to put this into the crease very casually, nothing crazy. And if you want to do anything else with your eyes, again, not really been doing it much lately, but sometimes I will curl my eyelashes and then use a little bit of waterproof mascara. Now, I absolutely love waterproof mascara, one, because it doesn't run, and two, it keeps an amazing curl, but it's just so annoying to get off at the end of the day. So if I am using it, I'm using like the tiniest amount just to give a little bit more of a definition to my eyelashes. As soon as you have curled your lashes, try to be quite quick with the mascara, especially if you're like me. I seem to have quite heavy lashes, so when I've curled them, they drop quite quick. Cool, and that's all I do, just literally a couple of strokes of mascara. And then if you want to take a highlighter, you can. To be honest, I've just not been bothering because I've not been using as much powder as I often used to. So therefore, like, my natural oils shine through a bit more, but just for today, I'm gonna take a little bit of powder, a little bit of highlighter, sorry, and just brush that onto the tops of my cheeks. I'm using the Bare Minerals Free highlighter. And then last little bit, again, not really been doing this day to day, but if I'm kind of doing anything on FaceTime with my friends or whatever, then I'm just going to take a little bit of lip liner, very roughly just line the outside of my lips. I feel like this makes your lips look a little bit fuller than just no makeup whatsoever. And then I'm just going to take my ring finger and just tap out that liner, so there's no kind of harsh lines. And then I will take a little bit of lip balm just to give myself a little bit of moisture. And that is pretty much my look done. Now, I've still got the freckles kind of shining through. You can see they look quite, I guess, natural at the moment. I personally want to cam them up a little bit. So I am going to go back into my pot. So with this pot, you can see that there's tan still sitting in the bottom. It's a bit gross, but you can just like you can keep using this pot a couple of days after. So if you want to spray it into this pot, put this back in a drawer, and then take it out the next day, you can still kind of dip into it. I know some people might worry that it'll go green. Mine's never gone green. So what I'm going to do is just dip my brush back in, and then because we are doing this over the top of makeup, we're not going to get a chance to really dab this back into the skin, so you need to go really subtle. So I dab it in and then I just kind of brush it off on the side so we don't have too much product sitting on the brush. And I'm literally going to do the same as what we did before, so just really gently just dabbing the brush onto my skin. And then when I've done that, again, just take my sponge blend them in a bit. And then what I find with that, with the double process of underneath and over the top, it gives it a couple more dimensions. So you've got the kind of freckles that are quite faded, and then you've got the ones that sit on top. Obviously that is quite a lengthy process. To be honest, this is way more kind of extra to what I am doing every day. This is kind of the version that I'm doing if I want to feel a little bit more fancy, if I'm kind of talking to friends or family on FaceTime and I'm actually seeing people, things like that. So like my actual everyday is probably not this extra, but it's like a version of this. But yeah, this is kind of what I've been doing for my self-isolation makeup hacks. I absolutely love the way this looks. I love how quick this is. Actually, in reality, this is taking me like 5 to 10 minutes, which is like half the time of my normal makeup routine. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Again, I apologize for how long it has been. I'm really trying to get back on my game, especially over the next couple of months, especially while we've got a bit of time while we're at home. If you do have any ideas for me that you'd like to see on my channel, then please do let me know. That would be so awesome to hear from you guys. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one.